Welcome to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. On this show, Dr. Phil Goad with Every Child Arkansas, bringing solutions and collaboration to fostering, mentoring, and adopting right here in Arkansas. We'll be right back. Welcome to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. I'm your host, Perry Black, and on this show we have a very special guest with some phenomenal new news concerning fostering, mentoring, and adopting and solving the foster care crisis. Our special guest, Dr. Phil Goad.
Glad to be here, Doc.
Welcome aboard.
You too, Pastor.
Second Chance Youth Ranch TV is all about fostering, mentoring, and adopting.
Right.
I contacted Victory Television Network over 3 years ago when everything started shifting nationally in foster care. And I said, you know what, I don't know how we're going to continue as Second Chance Youth Ranch if we don't just hammer fostering, mentoring, adopting and get it out into the public eye every day. So should we do a weekly show, a quarterly show? Should we do specials? And they said, no, let's do it every week. Mm-hmm. And now we've been on for 3 years. We're the #1 viewed Christian show at 11 o'clock on Thursday night, probably throughout the whole state of Arkansas.
How about that?
So there's a lot of people watching us that are interested in making a difference in foster care. And you're one of those people who maybe up to now haven't watched the show, but you're deeply involved in foster care.
Yes.
Now, our audience knows that in the first segment, we always want to get to know our guest. I think it was John Maxwell and many other leadership people said, nobody cares how much you know till they know how much you care.
Yeah.
So we want our audience to get to know you. I met you when we opened our pregnancy crisis home in January. And incidentally, I haven't visited with you about that, but one of our young ladies at the home just gave birth to a beautiful baby about 3.5 weeks ago.
That's awesome.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And a beautiful home about
It's a great place.
3 or 4 minutes here.
Yeah.
And I didn't know who you were. And you and I stood out at the grand opening and visited for about 30 minutes. And you asked me about collaboration and working together with other groups. And you said you appreciate we don't have a poverty mentality in Second Chance Youth Ranch, that we're really building beautiful homes.
Right.
That home was probably $350,000. Probably on the market would be worth about $450,000, debt free.
Yeah.
Everything we have is debt free. So how did you get involved in this whole fostering issue in Arkansas specifically?
You know, it goes back probably 11, 12 years ago. We had a young couple at our church who adopted 2 children from Ethiopia.
What church is that?
A Little Rock Church. We're just down the road from you guys. It's a non-denominational church over by the highway department down Baseline Road.
Been there for decades. You know, I'm a Southwest Little Rock guy.
Okay.
It's where I lived from the time we left the Methodist Children's Home when I was in high school.
Yeah. So they adopted 2 children from Ethiopia. And in fact, I'd gone to college and med school with her dad. So I tell her I knew her before she was born. And so my wife and I said, well, they were trying to raise some funds to build a little building for a school in Ethiopia that cares for vulnerable children there in Ethiopia. And so my wife and I didn't really know about this work, but we knew them. So, well, let's just help them. So we helped fund some of what they're trying to do, thinking, well, we just love them, we'll do that. Yeah. And then it wasn't too long after, a month or so, a gentleman who's now become a very, very dear friend of ours, his name is Andy Lehman with an organization called Lifesong for Orphans, came and was talking about the work, and we got real interested in that. And that was in November of 2011. Then January of 2012, it's like we woke up one day and we're on a plane going to Africa, going like, oh, what has just happened to us? And so we stepped into what I call the Lifesong black hole. And so we've been working with them for years now in Ethiopia and in Zambia. We partnered with them in work here in the United States. And so it's just been a great blessing. I'm on their board now of Lifesong for Orphans, helping us expand the work around the world for and in this country for adoption and caring for kids. And out of that, we got to know, they introduced me to Jed Medevin, who's the president of Christian Alliance for Orphans, or CAFO. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of them or not, but they actually were formed here in Arkansas over 15 years ago.
Wow.
Dennis Rainey with Family Life called about 36 folks together, Stephen Curtis Chapman and some others, and said, let's leave our logos and our egos at the door and come together as the body of Christ on behalf of vulnerable children.
Yeah.
And out of that was birthed the Christian Alliance for Orphans, or CAFO.
I attended a meeting with Dennis Rainey over on Highway 10, and Stephen Curtis Chapman was the guest that day, and I think that's what we talked about.
Then you were at that original meeting. My wife and I went there for lunch. We didn't even know, we didn't know any of this was going to happen to us, or that we were going to get to be part of this. And so now we have this international organization with 40 or 50 countries around the world, every state in the United States, of believers that have come together and working for children and families. And I'm on the board of directors for CAFO also, and have been a friend and supporter of theirs for a number of years. And as I was transitioning out of my work, Jed came and said, hey, would you be willing to maybe join our team that's working on an initiative called More Than Enough. And it's a national initiative of CAFO with the vision of more than enough for children and families before, during, and beyond foster care in every county in the United States.
Can you tell me again, what was that slogan? Leave your logos and what?
Your egos
at the door. You know, ego, EGO, that stands for edging God out.
I need to remember that.
It's all about self.
Because that happens, for sure.
Yeah, and Paul Chapman, your dear friend, who we interviewed recently, he talks about the silo, the individual ministries or denominations. We work so hard in our silos, and it sounds to me like you've figured out there's a key to networking. Businesses figured that out a long time ago.
Yeah.
We've got just a minute in this segment, but where did you grow up?
I grew up in Denver, Colorado.
And how did you end up in Arkansas?
Well, I went to Harding University, Harding College at the time, and got my bachelor's degree in chemistry there, and met this young lady and married her, and then I went to the med school in Little Rock to get my PhD in toxicology.
UAMS?
UAMS.
Yeah.
And interdisciplinary toxicology, and along the way became a firm Arkansan, all the way, all in Arkansan, hog lover and the whole thing. And
so you say y'all now?
All the time, all the time.
We're going to take a brief break, and we're going to pick up because I want to find out a little bit more about your family. Do you have children? And then we're going to work into Every Child Arkansas, this new initiative sponsored really by Governor Sanders. And I was there at the Capitol when y'all revealed that, and I'm very excited about it. Changing lives through fostering, mentoring, and adopting. We'll be right back with Dr. Goad.
A mission field around you is filled with young hearts needing a forever family. And at Second Chance Youth Ranch, our team is committed to providing healthy, stable, loving homes and families to hurting children in the Arkansas foster care system and those up for adoption. Please contact us if you feel the tug at your heart to help foster or adopt, and find out the steps you could take to help fulfill a child's lifelong dream. Maybe you can't foster or adopt, but you could help. The need for thousands of children in the system is staggering. But with the help of faithful partners and business alliances, we are meeting those needs right now. Would you help us make a difference? Every gift, regardless of size, impacts a child's life directly and helps provide for a home in the gap right now. Visit the Second Chance Youth Ranch website at 2CYR.org to read more, watch the stories, and to make a contribution for a hurting child's care. Monthly partners are needed, so please contact us right away. And as you partner with this ministry, you are partnering with the Heavenly Father that has promised to be Father to the fatherless. God bless you for helping Second Chance.
2, 1, go.
Welcome back to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. Our special guest on this show is Dr. Phil Goad, And we kind of left them hanging, Doc, in the last segment. You said you met a beautiful young lady. Y'all been married for a little while. I guess you met her at Harding?
I met her at Harding. I was a senior in high school, went to visit the school. I was looking at several schools, and some mutual friends from Denver knew her, and they said, you got to meet this girl. And I met her, and all of a sudden Harding was like the best college to go to.
Yeah.
And so we fell in love at first sight and have been married now. It'll be 48 years next month.
Way to go. Congratulations.
And we're so blessed. We have 3 children and 10 grandchildren, and just very blessed.
How many children?
3.
3 children. How many grandchildren?
10.
Way to go.
Yeah.
You know, people ask me all the time when I'm going to retire. I said, I can't retire. I have 7 grandchildren.
Yeah, it's full time. I don't call it retirement. I call it refocusment.
Yeah, I call it just get refired.
Yeah, there you go.
Who
That's
needs
a
to
good
retire?
way.
So in our previous segment, a couple of times we talked about leave your logos and your egos at the door. In other words, it's not all about us and our individuality or our individual ministries. Every joint supplieth, we're all connected, but yet we're disconnected. How is the work that you're doing with the governor and Every Child Arkansas, what is that all about? Collaboration and connections, so that we can leave those egos and logos at the door and actually solve the foster care crisis in Arkansas?
Yeah, I think back behind that, I think it's a work of God in the hearts of people. Because the first time as a board member of CAFO, when Jason Weber shared the story, the vision of more than enough in every county in the country, and knowing a little bit about this space, I thought, well, first response is it's impossible. It's too big, too many logistics. I've been a business owner, and just thinking the logistics of doing that just not possible. Then I thought about the rich young ruler who came, and Jesus, you know the story, he said, sell what you have, and he walked away sad. And then the disciples, Jesus said how hard it is for that guy to go to heaven, and they were flabbergasted because they thought if he's rich, he must have it all together. But then Jesus says, well, with man it's impossible, but with God it's all things possible.
Yeah.
And so that's what hit me about this, that it is possible with God, but what it will take is a change in the hearts of all of us, where we're able to collaborate together. I have a friend in Atlanta that works in this area, talks about sacrificial collaboration, where we're just all made, I think my ideas are the best. You probably think you got some good ones too, and you're doing things, we're all doing things, but can we come together and figure out how could we do it better together? Maybe you're doing something better than I am, and I'm better than you, but could I give up a little bit what I own, you give a little bit, but together we, in my world as a scientist, it's called synergize. You know, 1 + 1 is not 2, it's 15.
Yeah.
When you come together in the right way. So this is about, in Arkansas, collaboration that's begun with the hearts of people who catch our vision, the more than enough for children and families before, during, and beyond foster care in every county in Arkansas. That's a big vision, and people have caught that and saying, well, I'm willing to work together to help achieve that.
Yeah, and the thing that I love about Arkansas is we're really a small populated state, 3 million, just over 3 million people, and it's easier to turn a canoe than it is a cruise ship. And big states, maybe just due to the bureaucracy and the mindset, would find it more difficult. But a small state like ours, we can do that as a role model and as a pattern for how larger states can do it. And you and I believe we can do it, don't we?
Yes, absolutely.
And what about people, though, who may be watching as Christian audience, or people that just happen to be viewing, maybe in a hotel or whatever as they're traveling, and they're watching going, yeah, but you know, the government will stop you. Is that true in our state? We've got a very conservative state, a very conservative governor now. What's the connection there?
Well, I tell you, one of the blessings about this state is from the top down, we have people who believe in this work and who are supportive of the faith community. I mean, the executive order the governor signed on February 28th, the opening line is, whereas we believe that children are a special gift from God. That's the opening line from the governor of our state. And the Secretary of the Department of Health, Christy Putnam, the Deputy Director, former Director of DCFS, Misha Martin, they're all believing this and what's happening in our All In. And that's a very cool and unique part about the state is from top to bottom, people believe that we can do this.
And would it be fair? I don't want to jump to conclusion. You know, that's some of the only exercise some people get is jumping to conclusions or running their mouth.
Yeah.
Do you believe that those three high-profile political people in our state share our conservative Christian values about helping children?
I do. I believe they're believers in Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And they know that's part of the calling we have together. And in our state, we realize that we have to work with everybody.
Yeah.
That in our state, if you're over 21 and you meet certain requirements, you can foster and adopt. And our movement has to be able to, for the sake of children, to be able to help and support anybody who can help, who chooses to take a child into their home during the critical time of foster care.
Yeah, and somewhere along the line in our American history and government, somebody came up with this false ideology of separation of church and state. It's nowhere in our Constitution or Bill of Rights. And we ought to be working together, hand in hand. People ask me all the time, do you take government funding? I said, well, I take the government's kids. Of course I take their funding. It's just like child support. We'll provide the loving, caring home, the educational opportunities, the support network, the counseling, the medical care, and all that. We just need the resources to do it. I don't see ourselves in competition with our government, not in Arkansas.
No, I believe that we should use any dollar that could come our way, unless it has strings attached to it that would violate our conscience or our values. But that's not the case. There's all kinds of ways that we can get support. First of all, we're the ones who put those dollars in, right?
Yes, exactly.
We should use those for good works. And so one of the things, you talked to Paul Chapman at Restore Hope, and he's very engaged in the process of how do we get the federal funds that go through the state to help fund this good work for foster children and families.
Yeah, the government doesn't have any money except the money that I want to say we give them, but actually they take it first. So they're actually our money. I asked someone recently, she said that they homeschool. I said, well, are you excited about the LEARNS Act? And she said, no, we're not going to take any government money. I said, well, don't take any government money. Just ask them to give you your money back and bring your kids to our school.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a brief break here and come back with Dr. Phil. And let you find out more about mentoring and adopting and how you can see the world changed. We'll be right back.
My name is Peyton, and I'm about to turn 12 on October 13th.
My name is Brody, and I just turned 8.
Most things I like to do for fun is like play video games, go outside sometimes, ride bikes.
Play with my brother. We like to play football, like to jump on the trampoline.
We love to play with dogs and cats.
And I saw you also had Pokemon cards. Tell me about that.
I like to play them most of the time, and sometimes I like to battle people so I can like get the Pokemon cards.
Me and Pan play together, and sometimes I win and sometimes he wins, and we trade.
He's kind, he's loving.
He's nice, he shares stuff, but not all the time.
Do you guys live together?
No, right now.
We used to.
Then I got sent away because I was acting up.
Do you want to live together?
Yes, because we just love each other. The only thing I can really explain is I love him and he loves me pretty much. And we don't want to leave each other.
So we want to find a family to take you both forever.
That would be okay. I would like that. Would you, Buddy? Mm-hmm. Because I want a family that would be nice. Any family that would like to adopt me, I'll just take it.
Me too.
If you had $1 million, what would you do with it?
Electronics and
a dog.
If you could wish for one thing, what would you wish for?
Us to be together.
Ditto.
and somebody to adopt us.
Welcome back to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. We are with Dr. Phil. Now, a little bit different Dr. Phil.
Yeah, a bit.
But Doc, you went to UMS,
Yes.
and you were a doctor of toxicology.
Yes.
Before we get back into Every Child Arkansas, what is a doctor of toxicology?
Well, toxicology is the harmful effects of chemicals. And what we ended up doing with the company we were able to start here is we helped organizations, communities, individuals, companies prepare for, respond to, and recover from threats to their environment or people, man-made or natural disasters.
Disasters, you mentioned like the one where the train derailed in Ohio.
Right.
Your company was one of the companies, company that you founded was one of the companies that was called in to do some toxicology research to find out for
what's
the
in
residents.
the air.
Yeah.
Deepwater Horizon, the BP oil spill,
Oh, yeah.
we were very heavily involved in that, and in many things around the country when something goes wrong, we respond to that. And one of the things that's kind of neat, I see that really as a training ground for what we're doing now, because we in many ways, what happens into the life of a child is a disaster when they're removed from their family and from their community. And 75% of the children in this state who don't end up with family in foster care, with kinship care, 75% end up in another county in the state. So everything familiar to them is taken away, and we've got to do better on that for these kids.
Yeah, and I think Every Child Arkansas is going to help all of us do that.
Yes.
You know, I've worked a little with Jerry Cox and Sharice Dean with pregnancy crisis centers, and there's pregnancy crisis centers all over the state. And here at our local church, here at Family Church Bryant, we sponsored a meal to bring all of those pregnancy crisis center into one place.
Right.
With the idea of, hey, what they're doing up in Northeast Arkansas would probably work down here in Central Arkansas. And maybe in Central Arkansas, we've done something at a pregnancy crisis center that they haven't figured out how to apply that where you are in Southwest Arkansas. And that's the same principle of Every Child Arkansas, isn't it? Where
Yes.
How many agencies are there in the Every Child Arkansas network right now?
Right now, the network has got just under 30 member organizations and some state departments, some child placement agencies who actually license families to care for these kids, support organizations like the Call, we call a bridge organization, who bridges between the state and the placement agencies and the families to help bring them together through the church to support them. And then organizations that distribute goods to families.
Yeah.
And so we've all come together and are trying to coordinate our efforts together.
Organizations like Second Chance Youth Ranch, Dr.
Yes.
Derek Brown over at the Baptist Children's Home.
Yes.
They're doing a great work. Churches all over, and organizations all over the state. I heard Pat Robertson say many years ago, if every church in America would sponsor 5 families in poverty, there would be no need for welfare. There's that many churches.
Yeah.
And it's true about our organizations too. If we all really network together, work together, collaborate, learn from one another, iron sharpening iron, so sparks may fly, but we'll be sharper, won't we?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's one of the things we're doing. We have a website now, everychildarkansas.org.
Yeah.
And anywhere in the state, we've asset mapped the state. So you can go in and put in your zip code. And if you're interested in volunteering, for example, it'll bring up the organizations in your zip code that you could volunteer for, and you can connect to them. If you are interested in learning more about fostering, you can choose the organizations in your zip code. And if you say, I'm ready to foster, you can actually pick the organization you want to go to. And we actually have it drilled down more, said if you want to work with just the faith-based organizations, those are the ones that show up in your zip code that you can do it. So we're trying to bring all these organizations together and help bring awareness around the state and mobilize community for this cause.
Yeah, and that's the key is everybody working together. We have sometimes people contact us here at Second Chance Youth Ranch, but they're not in our area. We support an area, I think our outreach is about 50 miles, where we'll recruit and train and equip and support and network with and remunerate. We'll help them. Our joke is we'll build the house, give you the van, and give you the food stipend, and we'll even give you the kids. But working all of us together. But our staff, our clinical staff, we can't go to Jonesboro or to Paragould or Texarkana. But there's organizations in all those areas as well. And instead of trying to find us, I just had a guest on a previous show that found out about Arkansas Christian Academy by seeing a sticker on the window, but didn't know how to find Arkansas Christian Academy. So maybe they can't find 2CYR, but they can go to everychildarkansas.org.
Yes.
And that'll give you everyone in fostering, mentoring, and adopting right there in their own zip code. That is such a resource for people in our state to solve the crisis.
Yeah, if you want to get involved, there are ways for everybody to get involved. There is a small set of people who get to the point and say, I'll take a child into my home, and they can do that. But there's also, the reality is everybody can do something. It may be something like you could go buy a gift card for a family that in your neighborhood or in your church for a meal. You could offer to help them. You could go through the process, and it's not very complicated to be able to drive, go pick their children up from school. You have to have a driver's record examination. You have to have a background check, and then you can help drive their kids. With that level, you could babysit for them and keep them over a weekend. You can just do something just to encourage and support them. And what we found around the country and in this state, when that's in place, when you have this wraparound support of foster families, they stay in it longer. They're able to stay in the game and be supported because they're not alone.
Yeah, we went through an issue with COVID making it so difficult. We lost a lot of foster parents. We need to get you back engaged and back involved. The retention is so important, and the way you retain is you got to have a support network. And my prayer is that Every Child Arkansas, working with all the other wonderful organizations in our state that are making a difference, that even the organizations and their leaders are not out here by themselves trying to figure it out, struggling to make ends meet, connecting and making a difference.
Yes.
Our prayer is that the reason you watch this show is that you are interested in fostering, mentoring, and adopting something down in here, and you just haven't been able to get past the unknown. Go to everychildarkansas.org, find out about the organizations in your area, and make that call. We look forward to seeing you again right here next time at Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. Bye-bye.